Hey everyone, welcome back to Folklore. This time, I figured I'd go back and look at some of the things in the quests in the game. There are some that change when you replay them, and of course the ones where we got folks, like this one where we picked up Automata the first time, will give us different rewards if we replay them. And of course, I really wanted to see if, with Automata on my side already, I could defeat all of the Pukas in this room at once, and maybe get some kind of reward for it. I don't know whether there's any end to them if I just keep killing them, but that took way too long. So, if I ever claim this is going to be an absolute 100% of everything LP, I take it back. Otherwise, Automata is really handy for a big group of powerful enemies that all like to stand in the same place. And of course, once you've killed one, you gotta be really careful about taking hits from any of the other ones. But I managed. And in the grand tradition of the DLC quests where you get folks, nothing significant really changes about any part of the story. In fact, most of the time they don't even acknowledge that you've already done the quest. It's like it's the first time that Mr. O'Connell was on the verge of death, and we had to come in here and defeat the Incubus, rescue Automata. But there is usually a slight change at the end where the folk decides to travel with our character. Instead, we just get some kind of reward. In this case, 10 purple dust. Which isn't bad. You know, it's probably faster to get the purple dust from that room full of boggarts than it is to go through the quest again. Here's Lost Thoughts 2, where we got Campus, the midway point of the Krula saga. And we just get a different reward. There's no difference in dialogue or cutscenes at all anywhere in the quest. And Noises in the Night, obviously the one where we got Radian. Pretty much the same deal. Originally, at this point, there was a big argument over whether Ellen would take Radian with her or just kind of leave it behind. This time, obviously, we've already got Radian, so the conversation takes a slightly different course. Green dust is certainly not a rare material, but not as common as some of the other stuff we might get from some of these quests. I left the entirety of Labyrinthine Woes in here just because you can see how much more smoothly it goes when I actually know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And this take went a lot better than my first take at capturing this. I actually managed to mess up at the Hellrealm part and ended up on top of the Tower of Sin trying to capture, I think, 3 Alrane with a bunch of... might have been Balgbolks or Balwind attacking me. Took me a really, really long time to make it through that room, but I did. And this one didn't go as smoothly as it could have, I think. Especially trying to capture Alrane with a bunch of other folks in the room. I almost had it that time. But the good news is that Trakai, in addition to doing a bond attack, does a tiny amount of damage, which is enough to draw out the id from a folk that's already that weak. And this time I need to capture the Peg Powler, which I think is probably going to be the hardest one in here. I mean, if you have to capture the Balgbulk, just forget about it. In here we've got Balgbulk coming after me, Warthog right on its way, and I managed to do the instant capture. I was very proud of that. You know, it occurs to me for the first time right now during this recording that Jimmy must have picked up Honeypot on the rebound from Frizzy. Doesn't really mean anything, just something that I thought of. And the reward may well be the best way to get green quartz. For Ellen, at least. Keats has easier ways to do it. And we're back to Alchemy Assistant, the quest where we got Scarab. Mostly because I thought it would be interesting to try the alternate strategy that I suggested in the thread. First, we break all the crystals in the first room, and create a single super-powered folk, with the maximum attack and defense. With only the one folk attacking, it's not very difficult to take down. And then in the second run, we'll break all the crystals in the second room so that we're fighting 12 perfectly ordinary folks in each room. Other than them standing in your way so that you have to take them down, and once again with Automata that's absolutely no problem, there's not really a whole lot of challenge here. And, of course, the conversation at the end here is cut even shorter than usual. And this is a quick way for Keats to get 10 green quartz. And we don't even see hide nor hair of Scarab in that one. So the final quest where we got a folk from DLC is Holy Night Visitor. Aside from keeping that first run where they knocked me right back out of the room, there's not a whole lot of interesting stuff during the quest itself. But there is a change coming up in a couple of rooms. If you don't remember the initial quest, we have to clear each room of folks in order to move on, and the real gimmick is that we got folks from all different realms, so this is a good time for me actually to get some use out of Valiant. And now that's done. In the next room, we fight an agar-agar, some patriots, and I think some Azrai. And then finally we get to the room where we fought Excedra. Or rather, where we would have fought Excedra had we come in this direction during the actual Chapter 3. And in that room there were a couple of Barghists, I think, a whole bunch of Bugaboos, some Kalmias. When you replay the quest, we don't actually go into that room. We meet Grabbag right here. And then we skip straight to the end of the quest. And the reward is kinda nice. We get some of each type of ore. Mostly golden ore, because that's the one that we need to use to build up Grabbag. And then the rest of the quest proceeds exactly as it did the first time. We still have to go through all the cutscenes, all the dialogue. It's kind of like that dungeon with all the corridors sitting at the end. You've already got your reward, but in order for it to count, you've got to go through all the tedium afterwards. I did try to see if I could quit halfway through, but there's no quitting from this point. So, having done that, there are some other quests, both in-game and DLC, that do have dialogue changes if you replay them. You might remember Mystery Messenger and Ancient Test from the grinding videos. There are a couple others where at least something about the quest changes to acknowledge the fact that you've already done it. And this one, as was mentioned in the thread, does send you to different rooms when you come back. I don't know if they're both randomly chosen, or if it's always the Hobblies first and then a randomly chosen room after. But this time we're sent to the path with all the Azrais. I think the first time through we went to the path with all the Kushis. And I figured I'd leave the reward in here, even though we already saw what it was in the actual main videos. The in-game quests, it does tell you what the reward is going to be before you do the quest. It's only the DLC ones where it's all question marks. Tower of Sin was the really annoying one where you had to go up the elevator and capture 6 Fahan at the same time. You had to capture a cave while there was another one attacking you. Or there might have been 3 at once. All the timed puzzles were rather a mess. And of course, Ancient Test. There are still 2 doors left to go through. And you might or might not have caught this text when I sped through it in the grinding video. But I think this one and Mystery Messenger both are intended to be ones that you replay, along with the Netherworld walk for each character, because you can get different scores depending on how well you do. So, of course, they would give you different text for replays of those quests. I did also replay Wavering Flame, which was the in-game quest where Keats got a Lonodite. I tried to skip the tutorial fairy at the start that just tells you what you already know, and he goes, "Hey, don't you want to hear what I have to say?" But it didn't really seem worth replaying that to put that in the video. So the 2 remaining doors here, this is not one of them. The undersea door was the first one that I went through. And it's actually worth a fair amount of time, so it's a good one to pick. The war door isn't worth very much. The good news is, neither folk will take time away for absorbing it, but you'll get 10 seconds for a Gediarg and 5 for a Patriot. And the reward for completing the test is only 10 seconds. So you've got to have a lot of time coming in and be pretty fast in order to break 3 minutes on this challenge. I think the best thing to do would probably be to use a wider area attack. Valiant could work, certainly. I think Gargantua or Broombear might be good. And you really want to try to do the multiple captures. Here I kind of missed that opportunity, and so it's several extra seconds to make the second capture. But I don't think I'm even going to come close to 3 minutes by the end of this. You really don't get a whole lot out of it. So this is actually the first time that I've failed to get 3 minutes. And so the 2 doors are still here, the final challenge, but Belgai isn't standing outside of this one, and we can't get in. So the only options are to go to the Amaryllis door, or to turn around. There is a door behind us which we can use to quit the quest in the middle at any time. Again, not really worth spending the extra time on the video for. So, the final door out of the last set of 4. The only test in this quest with Hellrealm, I believe. Now, when it says special boggarts, I think that refers to the fact they've got a lot more health than normal boggarts. Because normally, I'd be able to capture a boggart after 1 hit from Langalan. These boggarts take a lot more than that. And otherwise, it's pretty much exactly the same thing as the first quest with the Pukas, where capturing multiples of them gives you more time. But they're enemies that take a lot longer to kill. if you're not capturing 7 or 8 of them in one go, it's really not worth the bother. The 3 of them gives me about 8 seconds. And that's more or less how long it took me to draw out 3 IDs. So you're not going to make a profit unless you're really capturing a bunch of them at once. I mean, I don't know if it's capture n boggart IDs at once, get 2 to the nth power seconds. It doesn't seem to be quite that way. But, 2 to the 8th seconds, over a minute, I think. Well, actually, let me think. 2 to the 8th would be, what, 256? So you'd be getting 4 minutes at once. It probably doesn't work like that. You're probably getting more like, what, maybe a minute and a half? I don't know. I never managed to capture that many at once. As you can see, I can barely draw out 1 ID at a time. And in the interest of actually finishing this room at all, I'm going ahead and capturing them rather than letting them recover. I think that's probably a mistake. I should be letting them recover and not even bothering to waste the time on the capture unless I've got, 6 might be worth it. I think I'm even losing time just capturing 1. And I don't have enough time to capture the last one. Especially not if he's going to hang out next to that crystal. I have beaten that one. It's really tough. So the last 2 are quests that give you additional text if you quit the quest without completing it. I don't know of any other quests that do this, but I didn't try quitting them all just to see. So Charlotte does wake up if you don't play hide and seek with the bugaboos, but she's sad. And then finally we have Fairy Photo 2, the final part of the Krula arc. Nothing changes during the quest as far as I can tell, we just get the extra test for quitting. So I'll let you read that and leave you to the end of the video. Next time will be the final bonus video for Folklore, where I'll go over all the miscellaneous stuff from the actual game that I didn't do. See you then!